Hello and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Thursday, April 1st, 2021, and that is not a joke if it's April Fool's Day and you celebrate it wherever you are. But today's topic is called SkyBourne. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening March 16th through the 23rd, 2021. And before we get into those sky observations, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, kedu, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobro honya, annyeonghaseyo, boa tarde, dobry den, aloha winala, galimera, and hudandag. And today's starter image is of a nice Egyptian goose in Miami. We're just looking at that to ground ourselves down before we take off in flight, so to speak, and check out the sky observations. And here we go. So the first scene, before we get to it, I would just like to say a heartfelt thanks for being here and welcome, whether you're new or returning to this channel. I'm happy you're here with me today or this evening, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you. Now, going forward, I'm referring to certain things as original photos or enhanced photos. Enhanced simply means I've taken the photo and edited attributes of it, such as color saturation, brightness, contrast. I've just either upped it or lowered it a little bit just to better highlight and get at certain things appearing in the photos. And I'll also drop in, in the areas of interest. I'll also drop in a letter or a few, just also to kind of track and show you some of the highlights of where I'm looking. Now, in any given photo, there's going to be a lot more probably presenting than I can get to. And if you see anything and I haven't covered it and you'd like me to, just let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to put it in a future show. So for right now, we're just looking at this odd void. It looks like a beam shining up, but in the void. So instead of the light, the darker part. And it looks like somebody's holding a flashlight, or in some areas of the world, I know you call it a torch, from down here and shining upward. So we're going to look at that with enhancement, and here you go. You can just see this very clean edge coming down on angle, and this one too. So it forms like a wedge or a fan shape moving up. Now this looks like a heavier material than just water vapor, so usually I refer to that, as you'll see in this show or in previous shows. If you really want to see good examples of cloaking craft, they didn't pop up this week. This week, I just observe whatever's coming up in a given time frame, but this time around it's more or less just very strange cloud formations where you get hints at the cloaking craft. If you want to see real machine parts and little things popping out and right angles and things with intelligent design, one of the better shows to check out of my previous shows is called Awe-Filled Sunset, or something like Rim Watching 2, and they pop up randomly in other shows as well. Anyway, let's get going, and I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean about cloaking craft in the next couple of photos. So here's another example, looking on the left and the right, of just some strange cloud activity. This is so, kind of like fallen apart. It doesn't look like any natural cumulus cloud formation that we've had in this area of decades past. Then we get a weird little grouping up here. It looks like little triangles tucked in here. And then, just really odd things happening around. Sorry, I'm trying to get my cursor. Around letter D as well. We get some bright points of light. I often see these pop up. They're happening at B and C also, where they pop out a little bit. They look crystalline white, and there seems to be a little bit of a shadow and dimension to these things. So we're going to look at the right-hand side, and again, at 8.1, you just see a triangle. It looks like a cloaking triangle there with heavier plasma coming around it. Little triangle on angle here, and a profile of one sitting on top of the rim here of this little cloud, in quotes. And so here we have B.1, looks like a crystalline structure, like a 3 points of a triangle with a little trail behind it. And something's popping out here too. So I'm going to say there is a cloaking craft happening in here. Now, and there's more activity happening down here. I'll leave to you to follow, just examine this little photo in more detail on your own time, when there's a little more time perhaps. I do want to kind of move through the show because I have a limited time to get this recorded. Anyhow, all that said, when I say something's cloaking in there, I am referring to like a plasma-like material. That's just going to be my go-to when I call it cloaking. And when I say it's a cloaking craft, I mean something that can be three-dimensional, 3D. It's hard. You can, tactile. You can touch it, knock on it, that type of thing. Or in some examples, you'll see things that look more kind of ephemeral. They could be very phantom-like, ghost-like. Looks like, it's coming or going. It's hard to get a fix on it. And we also could be talking about a craft that's in the middle of its phasing, like in somewhere along the state of phasing in and out. So there are a lot of possibilities here, but let's keep moving. So here we're going to just zoom in on the areas B and C a little bit more. A2, we're going to see if we can see a little bit better, get a little bit better glimpse of what's going on, but I think we'll just focus on B and C for now. But again, this looks like a crystalline triangle with its bright points at the three corners, and that looks like something's trying to emerge here. So we're going to look at that with enhancement, and also you just look at the color. A little bit of a difference in color happening around this area of activity at sea, compared to the dark gray beyond, and here too. So these tell me that these are objects of some kind, either one that's already out or one that's trying to emerge or do something else, or cloak. And then back up at A, don't get really a better view. I think there was a better view in the earlier photo without the enhancement. So again, check it out when you have more time on your own. Really look around that photo. This one is again strange cloud activity in quotes. Area A, I call that staccato cloud, where to the naked eye it looks fuzzy and choppy. It's just a term I like to use that comes to me, staccato cloud, choppy, a musical term. But then we look down at C, and look at this. We have a very clear, like sawtooth edge of triangles, triangular peaks, and then down here too, after this little gap, it's all very strange. B has what looks like the end of a pipe. It's very round. So we're going to go over to the enhanced version. Let's go to B. B.1, look at that. It looks like a tube popping out with the end of it that you're looking at. It even has rim definition. It's pretty wild. C.1, here we go. We've got undeniable peaks happening. And A.1 just also demonstrates the choppy character. What is this? This is a very different animal cloud-wise than what's going on down here. This is relatively horizontal, and this is doing its own thing, all over the place. It has no cohesive character, no, the consistency is just, not cohesive, so it's not really a regular cloud form. Looks, if anything, more smoke-like or just vapor-like, but not really cloud-like. We're going to zoom in on this whole area. Here we go, that little sawtooth thing I'm talking about. We're just going to look at A, B, and C pretty quickly here. And again, I'm going to leave some of these to you to examine when you have more time. But look at this. We've got these triangular forms. This one's even coming down. That's a clear triangle. And then we've got them popping back up here. So then we go to C, and it looks like it's a standalone shape, like something's cloaking in there as well. See what you think. All right, here, this one's just odd. We're looking at overall strange character of cloud. So we've got this thing. It looks like a vertical object, and I'm going to go to the enhanced version pretty much right away because you can see everything better. But just look at this in the sky. Normally, and decades ago, we'd have maybe cumulus clouds or cirrus or strato cirrus something, but they would just be pretty predictable. They would, go across horizontally with whatever wind currents were carrying them. But here, we don't even have like a true horizontal. We have this pitching down on angle, we have this pitching up on angle, and then this is coming down in an opposing angle downward, all in the same vicinity. That's just not regular activity for clouds, folks. Then we have this strange thing happening over here where my cursor is. Looks like something's trying to cloak or emerge or disappear. And we have a very strange, yet another cloud type, pure white happening beyond. So we're going to look at this with some enhancement. Here we go. Here's that vertical object I was talking about. It looks like it just zoomed in, a little trail of its own with some plasma coming around the front. And then again, this is just to illustrate what is going on here. This even has a triangular feel to it. Just very odd. Then we're going to look at this. Letter A is going to be in this little area. I see something that has a sharp edge to it with some shadow and little crystalline points of light kind of coming through whatever this cloud formation is. Again, that's not a normal one either. Then we're going to go look at it with some enhancement. You can see it much better. I don't know if this is all one object popping out here. With the front looks pretty symmetrical. I'm guessing that's the front. It has a straight line. Again, looks like just some heavier plasma or cloak materials coming in front of it. But clearly this is coming, like bisecting this thing on angle. And then, the overall character of this is just strange. We've got what looks like a cloaking triangle over here. There's darker objects, kind of looming here, in the murkiness. And then there's some bright points of crystalline light happening here. So I'm going to say there's multiple cloaking craft in here, and that this is some other object that's the most visible. Could be a craft, could be some type of, I don't know, instrument, sensor device, but I'm going to go with craft on this one. But see what you think, as always, on any of these. So on the left hand on this photo, we have three distinct types of clouds. Well, clouds in quotes. So we've got the staccato nature up here, which I think is a cloaking craft or something coming or going with the cloak. B, something totally on its own page. Kind of has the brightness and intensity of white wisp-like clouds, which I cover in other shows, such as it has air elementals in the title. But in this case, it looks like it's more hardened and making a form, shape of its own. So that could be yet another kind of cloaking material. So I'm trying to grab my cursor again. And then C, look at this. This is, and also, the motion of everything. So this is pitched on an angle that way. This is pitched on, again, on an opposing angle coming down. We've got little clumps that, don't resemble anything like natural cloud systems. So we're going to look to the right at the enhanced version. And here we go, there's staccato bits, and then this stays white and true. So again, I'm not sure if that's an independent craft cloaking in there. And then we come down this way and look at the movement. We've got a triangle at where C.1 is. Something else is probably hiding right next to it, and in here as well. But again, see what you think is happening in that scene. Then we come to this one. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It just shows me that there's a triangular shape with some cloak tufted, coming in front of it. And then there's something kind of trailing down in association with it. So it looks like these little points that are heading down into this, and there's kind of like a disturbance happening here. So we're going to look at this with some enhancement. Here we go. So we're picking up some, the coloration of the reds are coming from a sunrise that's just beyond this. But then look how bright white and kind of green, blue, white this is. All of this activity, it's got a color signature of its own. So to me, that says something's happening in there. Something's cloaking. And again, we get this bright crystalline point here and happening here too. Now, I'm not exactly sure what it is or what it's doing. It does seem to kind of carry up and have a relation to this thing. But I'm just going to say this overall thing is cloaking activity. Then we come to this scene, just again, strange forms and shapes of, clouds that don't really have consistency. They're all ragtag, falling apart, so they don't even look like real clouds. Then we have this like faint white band happening here. We have more staccato clouds happening up here, weird little stray chunks on their own, wisp-like clouds or cloaking cloud in the back. So yeah, we're definitely going to look at this with some enhancement. I'm just doing this to pull out more of these brighter, clouds and quotes beyond. We're going to zoom in a little bit too, just to look at the nature of these things. This even looks like it has some vapor or plasma leading out in the front edge of it. This is a triangular shape. This is a weird little oddball shape too. And back here, and there was in a previous shot, a better view, there's a triangle happening here. So what's going on with this scene? I can't tell you exactly, but to me this is more of the air wisp category, but with more intelligence happening beyond it. And this has to be some type of cloaking craft. Look how well formed it is. It's like a pointed ellipse, almost looks like a ship's hull down here, riding on a heavier layer of plasma or something. But see what you think. All right, here's another scene where we've got this band coming down, staccato cloud above, strange angles happening here while these are coming across more or less horizontal. And then we've got that imprint. Either this is an imprint of a craft being formed by this material around it, or there's something happening within this material. In this case, I think it's an imprint, like object is happening here in the void. So let's look at that with some enhancement. You just see everything a little bit better. I'm going to leave this one up to you to spend some more time with and check it out. My apologies for the little Big Ben clock in the background. I'm going to let it play through though. Anyhow, in this scene, yeah, we just have, looks like some right angles happening in here. Just, little triangle bits happening all over the place. But you see what you can find in there. Okay, this we're going to zoom in a little bit more on some of those little chunks. Now, this one I'm not sure. I have listed A and B, but I'm not sure if this is one overall cloaking object because we have a repeating pattern of these like arrowheads pointing this way. And then we're going to look at the enhanced version to see what could be hiding and tucked around in here. Anyway, you look at it though, I took the photo because this is just not typical cloud activity. And so here we go. Look at that. We get a clear look at that like arrowhead marching along. And then here we have a dart shape, arrowhead shape here, elongated. And we have other little things happening in here, look independent, like a triangle here, and little objects happening here. Or it could be a part of one overall installation, I don't know, in here too. And actually I'm going to step back a second. When I'm talking about cloaking craft, I didn't mention, I could be talking about something that's military, human-made, or more than likely ET, extraterrestrial, fabricated, or it could be a collaboration or combination of both working together. But for the most part, I'm just implying that it's something of ET in nature, and it could be basic tech to them or advanced tech. I'm not sure. Especially when we get into some of the interdimensional examples. They won't show up so much on this show, but on previous shows, I do think that, some kind of higher intelligence, higher design, and advanced tech is involved with those. Anyway, let's keep going. So we're going to look at that imprint a little bit more. And and then something starts to happen around B. We get a crystalline point of light here, and it looks like a little, what do I want to say? It looks like a symmetrical form starting here. And here we go. So we see that symmetrical form at B poking out, really bright white here amidst all of this dark gray. This is even a weird little form in and of itself. what's going on with C.1. Your guess is as good as mine, but it doesn't look natural either. And then we've got, color signature popping up on some of these clouds from the sunrise coming up. And you can maybe say, okay, there's some shadow, but still these are like dark gray where there shouldn't be shadow, right next to some bright pinks and golds and with pure white. It's all in the same vicinity, so what the heck is going on? There's a lot going on in this photo. Anyway, I'll leave this to you to look around and make some of your own conclusions. And as always, if you have any fun, fantastical ideas of what these things could be, feel free to put them in the comment section below. Okay, this one's fun, and this is in part of what's on the cover slide for this show. So look at this. This comes across mostly horizontal. Doesn't look like a regular cumulus, puffy cumulus cloud like we know from the past. But still, we've got this like crescent moon jutting vertical, and then this is shooting up vertical and then turns true horizontal. So there's no way you can have just a wind current coming across producing this. I'm just going to say it. Maybe this horizontal weird thing, but then you're not going to have a sudden burst of things shooting up vertically, and especially if they're turning horizontal again. So to me, absolutely, this is cloaking objects or craft going on in here. And so with enhancement, we also see the phenomenon of the red-pink signature happening beyond. I cover what that could be in other shows and also in the description box below. I'm not going to really get to that too much on this show. But anyway, look at this. In silhouette, we've got that crescent popping up. And then this even looks like a rectangle. There's kind of right angles forming in here. On angle, it looks like also there's movement going this way. Movement up for sure. And then some kind of object sitting there. Then this is another view, just zooming in on that little, extra interesting scene. So we'll go ahead and look over at the enhanced version. So look at this. That's that little crescent. There's even little objects happening within this trail bursting upwards. So what is going on here? Do let me know in the comment section if you have any fun ideas about this. Okay, here's another very oddball cloud overall assembly. Look at this. This is not a natural cloud that I've ever seen in my life in the sky, so it's artificial, or it's cloaking material, one or the other. We have all sorts of weird elements of this. Triangles over here, these weird hook-like things coming out on the top. It's very frayed and disorganized. Looks like something's going on in here. Weird color signature here. So let's check this out with enhancement. And bam, we got some little bit of a faint red-pink going on in the background too. And this is looking west at sunrise, not sunset. So anyhow, we see this like purple, thread of like crown-like shape happening. Then I'm going to take you to look at D.1 because on either side of it, these look like triangular forms. This is starting to look like an object in there that's maybe, flying off of this thing. And then just this is strange because it's just a burst of nice, like, warm tone, orange, sienna, rust, coming out of here. It's just all very strange. I'm going to zoom in one more time so you look at that burst and that glow. And then you can see at D.2, that's definitely a triangular form. Then we're going to look at this overall triangular void. It looks like an animal to me in there, like a stylized, maybe not quite Art Deco, but a stylized animal figurine, or if it were like a stylized animal cookie sitting in there. And then we have like a imprint of triangles shooting off from here too at B1. Just a very odd little situation. Does again not look like any natural clouds I've ever seen in this area for decades. And then on the left, we're just going to look at these particular points. Just the overall scene. It looked like, something more elliptical happening here. Actually, you can see the point. Looks like an ellipse. And then we have this weird spherical fuzzball, I'll just call it, and other little strange things happening. So we look to the right, and we see that fuzzy object. And then we see, again, this looks like the outline of an object. Maybe a triangle down here at D.1, some odd shape here at C.1, and something maybe even up in here. Definitely just strange that there's kind of like this X-like pattern. See what you think is going on. And by the way, the sun was kind of beyond this as well. So we get the backlighting from that, which seemed like a very artificial sun. I cover that in other shows as well. This one is just an overall assembly of strange clouds, so they don't really look like they fit together. It looks like an object's popping out here, down here as well. Something's coming out of the cloud here with a little crystalline point on it with shadow. This overall thing reminds me of an orca, killer whale with the face going this way, dorsal fin, or you could see it as a very chunky, I say that fondly, dolphin with the tail, however you want to see that. Whatever the case, a lot of odd things are happening in here. So with enhancement, we just see there's that crystalline shape kind of emerging that I saw. Something absolutely happening down here too of interest. This thing is strange how it hooks around and has a different color signature. See what you think's going on in there. Then this was just weird. This is looking west towards sunset. This whole, like, I just want to say a burst and flurry of activity, of atmospheric disturbance just started on the spot with very LED white light, artificial light kind of popping up behind it. And then we have this very ethereal, I don't know if this is like it's a white blue, just seems like a very dreamlike light. Also seems a little artificial, but different in quality than this white LED light. That I'm just calling it. And we look to the enhanced version on the right, and we can just see there's a warmer signature on this whole light activity, and then this one maintains a white blue, and then we have a burst of white. So what the heck is going on there, I don't know, but I am going to say there is some craft generating all of that disturbance. Then we get to this similar principle. This is looking south, though. Again, just this started on the spot to generate a flurry of activity and disturbance in the sky. And look at this, all of this ragtag stuff at the top. That's not normal cloud, consistency at all. And on the right, we just see there's a warmer glow, and then there's that white blue light again. All looked and felt very artificial. And look over here, it's like a burst of something going straight up and then something going horizontal. So there's something very interesting happening in there. I wish I could know exactly what it is, but for now I'll leave it there. All right, this gets interesting. Strange cloud activity at A, B, and C. These look like standalone shapes. And then we've got, this stuff moving off on angle and parallel to each other, while this is kind of coming along more horizontal. So I'm not sure what's happening there. Little bits of staccato cloud happening up here. So we're going to look at it with enhancement. Once again, we have our beautiful red-pink glow beyond, and this is now looking north towards sunset. So do check out in the description box all the ideas of what could be causing that red, generating that red. And it just seems not to matter anymore whether you're looking west or east or north or south. It shows up. Anyway, let's look at more detail at A1, B1, and C1. We're going to zoom in, and here we go. It's looking triangular. These definitely look like distinct shapes to me of something cloaking, and here we go. And we have that dark object beyond, and it looks like some cloaking material happening in front. This even looks like another, look at that, bam, watch my cursor, that's symmetrical. Looks like a little bat-like, bat wing kind of thing happening there. And then these could be independent or part of one whole thing with that cloaking material coming in front. And then we've got these bright white bits happening a bit amidst a solid, so that tells me there's probably an object cloaking in there as well. We've got those white bits up here too with some interesting color signatures. Shows me there's definitely something cloaking in there. Now we're going to go look at a similar scene, similar principle, these little bits and pieces that are very standalone, kind of flying off and trailing off. And look at this, it looks again like the heavier cloaking materials in front of the object. Look at this shape, and then we've got this one, and this little fragment up there with solidity to it. And here, that looks like a pure trapezoid, little bits and chunks with cloaking material floating off in front of them. So I'm going to call that a collection of cloaking craft. But as always, see what you think. Here's an interesting one. Look at the left. This was at sunrise looking east. And it just didn't fit in. Not that any of the other clouds, I'm going to use in quotes, were normal. But look at this. It had more vertical aspect to it, and it trailed off here, vapor-like. So we're going to look at the right and look at the color signature on this thing. It's maybe picking up some warmer tones or generating itself. It's hard to tell. This could be self-generating, the light qualities. We have a whiter, cloaking material embracing this thing, hugging it. And then we have like regular points here. So those could be features on whatever this thing is. Find it very interesting. This is interesting too, off to the left of it. But see what you think is happening there. And then we come to this scene where we've got staccato cloud happening at A, and then we've got this weird overall formation. This is looking, actually, sorry, this should say south. Well, south-southwest at sunrise. We've got this kind of falling apart quality over here, and things starting to collect themselves over here into a bigger mass. But look at this vertical activity, and it has kind of a color signature of its own happening because the sun would be coming up to the far left here, and it wouldn't just catch this part and nothing else in here. So we're going to look at that with some enhancement. Look at that. It's like looks like it's happening below, self-generated under this shelf of cloud, tucked back beyond, with some weird features happening in there. So this whole scene's very interesting, and look at the way the edge of this is. Let's check it out a little bit closer up. We see crystalline activity, white points of light happening in there. Let's check this out with more enhancement. Look at that. So it's almost like this is bursting with its own little light source, and then this is part of a bigger object. So I think this overall thing is some type of cloaking craft. How exactly, I'm not sure, but it's very interesting. Or these could even be separate craft in the leading edge. They look like they have their own shapes if you really look, behind this cloaking material. So this is the close of the show and the photo of the week. This is just paddleboarding in Miami. I was fortunate enough to be able to do that over the last weekend. So I want to say thank you for standing by here a while and spending time here with me on the show. It is toward the weekend where I'm at. If you're already enjoying your weekend, have a great one. And if you're behind time zone wise, get ready. I wish you a beautiful, beautiful close of the week and happy, happy weekend ahead. And absolutely gorgeous now. I wish you tremendous love and peace. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.